Goldwing Rider, a shadowy flight into the dangerous world of a man who does not exist. A young loner on a crusade to champion the cause of the innocent, the helpless, the powerless, who is fearless in a world of reckless automobiles. These are Caliente motovlogs. As you guys know, at the beginning of 2025, Honda released a bolt recall for the new style Honda Goldwing, and I think it affected models 2018 through 2023, if I'm saying it correctly. But I've been talking with a rider that's actually been having a not so good experience. I'm going to bring him on, and we're going to just talk a little bit about this bolt recall situation and why I call it a bolt recall nightmare. So let's bring him on here in the Caliente garage. Patrick, are you on with us?
Yeah, I'm on with you, Chris.
Yeah. So Pat, I just want to ask a few questions about this bolt recall, and the reason why I want to bring this video to my audience is because there may be other riders out there that's having the same problem, or if they run into this problem, you know, what should they do in this situation? So I just want to bring this problem to light. So you have, what year is your Honda Goldwing?
It's a 21.
2021 Honda Goldwing, and you received the recall letter. When did you receive your recall notice?
Oh, wow. I think like last December or something like that.
So it was at the end of 2024 going into the beginning of 2025?
Yeah.
Okay. Now on that particular on the 2021, because you got the same model I got, they had the fuel pump recall earlier in the year, and then they came out at the beginning of the year, at the very end of 2024, with the primary drive recall. Right. Tell us what happened. What happened in your situation? So you actually, did you have an appointment to take your bike in, or did you just show up and say, here it is?
Nah, I called them before I showed up, and they just told me to come in whenever I wanted to.
Okay.
And they told me to take about 2 weeks.
Okay, so you took your bike in for the primary drive gearbolt recall, and they told you it was going to take about 2 weeks to get the recall performed, correct?
Correct.
Okay, so what happened after the 2 weeks, or what happened within that time period?
Well, they told me they would call me in about 2 weeks, let me know to come get my bike. The 2 weeks came, I gave it a couple extra days.
Okay.
Because I hadn't got a call from them, so I called them back, and they told me that they were having a problem with my bike. So I asked them what was the problem, and they said that the springs popped out behind a gear. And I don't know much about the recall, but from what I've gathered, there's a special tool they use to hold the gear to keep the springs compressed. And I guess that tool wasn't put on there right, so the springs popped out.
So let me get this straight. So they was doing the primary drive bolt recall. They was using a special tool to remove the bolt, and for some reason or another, while they was using this tool to compress the springs jumped out.
From what I gather, the springs are behind the gear.
Okay.
And this tool keeps that gear from moving.
Right.
And I'm, from the way it was described to me, so I'm guessing the gear moved and the springs popped out.
Okay. So the gear moved, the springs popped out. So were they able to put the springs back in, or what happened after that? Or what did they tell you after those springs popped out?
Well, I didn't hear nothing for a couple of weeks, so I called them again,
Okay.
and they told me that there's 3 fixes for it. To get the springs to go back in, and the same way they were trying, or to remove the oil pan and go from the bottom of the bike. And the third was to remove the motor. Now, I took my bike the last week of February,
Right.
right before bike week, Daytona. So I told the guy, you're going to remove my motor. And he's like, it's a possibility. And it looked like we might have to do it. So I told him, okay, well, I'm calling Honda. So I went online, found a number for Honda Corporation. I ended up speaking to one of the reps, and I opened up a case with them, and they contacted the dealer. And I don't know, I feel good about calling them, but I don't feel like they really did anything,
So man, I gotta have a drink behind that.
These people have never called me to update me at all. They tell me they're going to call me on a certain day. I give them an extra day every time, but they never contact me. It's always me contacting them. And then, it's like they kind of brush over. After they told me that they might have to take my motor out, and they told me that they would call me on following Tuesday. And I never heard anything from them then.
So you're saying you're saying that they haven't even, every time you communicate with that dealership, they don't even, you're calling them, they're not even calling you.
Correct.
And they're just telling you, hey, we gotta either we gotta come in from the bottom, from the side, or take the engine out to try to put this back together. Is that what you said?
Yep, that's what I'm saying. But I called them this morning, and they told me that they took my motor out.
Hold on, repeat. You say you called them this morning, and what happened?
They told me that they removed my motor.
So you called them, and now they saying they already took your motor out.
Yep.
Oh, wow. Wow.
Yeah, his exact words were, "Oh, we took your motor out. We've been working on it for the last 3 days." Yeah. And they were supposed to call me Tuesday, and I gave them all the way up until this morning. But I talked to Honda, the corporation, Thursday, I think it was, and she said that from what they told her, they didn't think they would have to take the motor out. So when he told me that this morning, I was shocked.
So the dealership told Honda, that they don't have to take the motor out. But when you talk to the dealership, now they're telling you they took your motor out.
Yeah, they said they didn't think they would have to. That's what she told me.
Oh, wow.
So this morning, when they told me that they actually took my motor out, I was shocked. And the representative told me that if I talked to Honda and there's anything I needed to talk to her about, to give her a call. So I'm going to call her Monday.
Okay. So at this point, they got your motor out. And how long you said they've been working on it? 3 days?
Well, yeah, they took it out, and he said they've been working on it for the last 3 days. But my bike's been there since, I think, around the 24th of February, and it's the 5th of April.
Yeah, that was going to be my next question. You took it in toward the end of February, which is the 24th, and your bike is still in there with the engine out, and now we're into April. So you missed you missed Daytona, you missed the Goldwing and Glizzies. So basically,
Honda thing, yeah.
Right, Southern Honda Goldwing and Glizzies.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, it'll be in a few weeks. It'll be 2 months.
Well, my wife rides too, man, and we start itching the ride, so she told me I'm going without me. So she broke a couple corners, left me home.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, man, I can't even imagine. You took your bike in for the recall, and they told you it was gonna, probably take 2 weeks, and now it's been almost 2 months.
Right.
And your bike is your bike is at the dealership, and they have actually removed your engine.
Yes, sir.
So are they saying what kind of progress that they're getting or that they're making by, taking this engine out, or are they giving you any information, or are they just saying that we've been working on it for 3 days?
His exact words were, "We took your motor out, and we've been working on it for the last 3 days, and we'll call you."
Mm.
He didn't give me a date, or nothing. He just said, "We'll call you."
Wow.
So I hung up, and I called back and asked for the general manager, but I guess they're not there on Saturdays.
Yeah. Man, I'm sorry to hear this, man. And this is why I'm calling this a Goldwing nightmare. And, we're not trying to blast the dealership. We're not trying to blast Honda or anything. We're just trying to shed some light on this situation. Let me say this, Patrick. That was one of the reasons, if you've been keeping up with my videos, I was saying at the beginning of the year, I wasn't sure if I wanted to take my bike in. And the reason why I said that was because I have ridden across country twice on my Honda Goldwing. I have not had any issues with it. I've had no issues with the fuel pump, let alone the primary drive gearbolt. So I was in the mindset of, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So I was actually on the fence about what I should do. Should I take my Honda Goldwing in to get this recall performed that Honda just came out with just prior to the new Honda Goldwing coming out? Or do I let them perform this recall? Part of me wanted to have the recall performed. The other part of me felt like, why should I get the recall performed if I have not had any issues with my bike? Again, I've ridden across country twice. I've never had an issue. I've never had a problem. And all of a sudden, out of the blue, I get a notice in the mail that there's a boat recall. And it's to my understanding that boat only costs, a couple bucks or something like that. But yep. Honda is allowing 6 hours for the dealership to perform the recall. So I was on the fence. I didn't know what I should do. I didn't want to create a problem trying to fix a potential problem that may or may not ever have ever happened. But, I decided that I was going to get the boat recall performed. I took my Honda Goldwing in, and while they had it, I told them to service it. Also, I had at the time, I had a leak. I noticed that I was having an antifreeze leak. The dealership wanted to charge me $1,500 just to remove the wiring, to access the fuel tank, to remove the fuel tank, to get down to where the antifreeze was located. So I did not let them perform that job. They did perform the recall. To my understanding, they reported it to Honda. It's on the books that the recall has been performed. But, sometimes I actually wondered, was the boat actually, has it actually been changed? And, it's not like I was there when they done it. It's not like I saw the boat. I can only go by what the dealerships report. They reported that they changed the boat. They reported to Honda that they changed the boat. I haven't had any issues. I can't tell whether the boat was changed or not, but it's to my understanding that my boat has been changed. So, but back to your story. That's one of the reasons why I was on the fence about getting my boat recall performed. But in your case, just like you got the letter. You did what Honda said. You took your bike in to get this recall performed. But while they was trying to take out the boat with the special tool, something moved and the springs popped out. And they said the only way that they can get that boat back in, or to get things put back together, that they got to either come in from the bottom or come in from the side, or they have to remove the engine. And now you filed a case with Honda, and now the dealership actually have your engine out, and you didn't even know this. You just happened to call them today to find out, what's the status on your bike, and now they're telling you that they've been having your engine has been out for 3 days and they've been working on it. Is that? Yeah.
I was like you, Chris. I haven't had any problems with my bike at all. I do the maintenance.
Right.
And I had no problems. And the only reason why, there's two reasons I took it there is I didn't want to be on the road and get stranded because of this bolt. And then I was watching one of your videos and you had went and got yours done. So I said, well, let me go ahead and get my stuff done.
Yeah. And you notice, and let me say this real quick, Pat, that's kind of one of the reasons why I didn't mention where I took my Honda Goldwing. I kind of kept, if you guys watched that video or kind of kept up with me during that time, I kind of kept it, I left the name of the dealership out of that video because I wanted to wait to see how things was going to turn out for me. So I know after I posted that video, a lot of you was calling me saying, hey, where did you take your bike? Where did you take it to get the recall performed? And I was like, hey, there's a reason why I never said it in my video where I took the bike. And because of, problems like this that could arise, I wanted to wait. And, you saw my video, you decided, hey, I'm going to go ahead and get mine done because just like all Goldwing owners, that got the letter, we all knew about the recall. A lot of us started making appointments and taking our bikes in to get the boat recall performed because, just like you, Patrick, you don't want to be out on the road and something happened saying I coulda, shoulda, woulda. So you did the right thing by taking your bike in, but you actually, was that really the right thing to do? I mean, looking back on it now that your bike has been down almost 2 months and now they have actually had to remove your engine and you didn't even know they took your engine out until you called them.
Right. I found out about 30 minutes ago.
Man, that's...
And I'm like leery about it too, man. I'm wondering is the bike going to ride the same? Am I going to have vibrations? Yeah, I'm leery about it.
Yeah. Because we've actually talked before, and you was actually wanting another bike. You was like, hey, if you guys got to take my motor out, I want another bike because I don't know how this bike is going to perform down the road. I don't know if there's going to be a potential problem. I don't know if things are going to fall apart while I'm riding. And so since it's such a problem at this point, I just want another bike. So I think that's kind of what you was wanting, which is one of the reasons why you filed a complaint with Honda. And now they're saying that they already have your engine out and they've been working on it for 3 days.
Yeah. It's like, it don't give you a good feeling, man, when you take your bike in February and you still don't have it back in April. And then nobody communicates with you at all.
Right.
Unless you call them.
Right. Yeah, that's I can't even imagine. And I don't mean to sound like a broken record, but this is why I was a little bit leery of letting them perform a boat recall, trying to fix a potential problem that hadn't arisen. I understand that, it's best to be proactive than reactive. But the old folks used to say that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. But in this situation, and no, let me ask you this question, Patrick. How many miles are on your 2021 Honda Goldwing?
About 7,600.
You got 7,600 miles on your bike.
Yeah.
So your bike is not even really due for the first oil change.
No.
I stand corrected. The first oil change on the Honda Goldwing is at 4,000 miles and every 8,000 miles thereafter.
It's been changed, though.
So your bike is not even at 8,000 miles. You was trying to be proactive by taking your bike into the dealership just to let them do this recall. And this problem arise with the springs jumping out or moving or whatever happened. And so they now have had to take the engine out trying to put everything back together. Let me ask you this question. I don't know if you know the answer to this, but let me ask you this question. When they was performing the recall, how did they perform it? Did they come from the top? Like, did they remove your gas tank? Did they come off the sides like they supposedly had done mine? Did they come from the bottom? I mean, do you know which way they actually tried to perform this recall before the springs jumped out?
I'm thinking they went from the side because they said they would, if they couldn't get it back in, they were going to go from the bottom. And if they couldn't get it in from the bottom, they were going to take the motor out.
Okay, I got you.
That's what they told me originally.
Right. And this is why I'm calling this a boat recall nightmare. You take your bike into the dealership to get this boat replaced just to have your engine removed because some springs popped out or some springs moved or something happened. Do you know what the price of that boat cost?
No, but I'm pretty sure that that recall, I think that boat has something to do with the transmission.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know how much the boat costs. But
I've been hearing, I don't know, I haven't confirmed it, but I've been hearing that this boat costs less than $10.
Wow.
I mean, just a boat. And I'm not even sure why they even came out with this recall. I'm not sure what happened. If there's anybody that's watching this video and you have any information on why Honda even came out with this boat call, I want you to chime in and put it down in the comment section below. I would assume that Honda would have had to have a bunch of complaints or a bunch of problems, or maybe they just found a problem and decided to just sound the alarm and say, "Hey, we need to do this boat recall." What do you think, Pat?
Yeah, I thought about that too, because I was thinking along the lines of the way these cars work. You know, you have a batch of cars that have a problem, they send out a recall, and you know, usually you can research it online. So that'll probably be something that I end up doing too, is doing a little bit of research to find out why they implemented the recall. You know, if there was 1,000 bikes nationwide or something that had the same problem, you know?
Right. Yeah, I've always wondered that. Patrick, I'm hoping that they get your bike put back together in a timely fashion. I hope that everything goes off smoothly. If not, you know, we definitely will let the Goldwing community know the name of the dealership that actually done this. And, you know, like I said, this is not to put the dealership on blast. We're just bringing awareness to somebody out there that's considering getting this boat recall performed if you haven't already had it performed. And also, let me say this. I've always wondered, why did Honda come out with this boat recall right at the time that they came out with the new 2025 Honda Goldwing? Just a few weeks prior to the 2025 releasing. You know, basically perfect timing to have a boat recall right at the point where the new bike come out. And
right.
Also my question is there going to be a boat recall for the new model, the 2025 or the 2024? Because Honda could come back later and say that there's a boat recall for those models as well. We don't know.
Right.
So the boat recall could have actually affected all Goldwings from 2018 through 2025, possibly. But right now, I think it's from 18 to 2023, if I'm saying it correctly. So the 2024 and the 2025 is not, it doesn't apply to those models that I'm aware of. But you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. If I'm wrong, be sure to put it down in the comment section below. So Pat, I guess at this point, I guess it's just a waiting game for you, huh?
Yeah, it's just very disappointing too, man, because those are expensive bikes.
Yeah.
You know, I had other bikes, and that bike is pretty expensive.
Yeah.
I actually bought it in California, so.
Yeah. And I've actually seen your bike. Have we not rode together, Pat?
Yeah, we have the exact same bike, except
Yeah.
for you have a lot more stuff on yours.
Yeah. But I'm saying that we had a meetup, right?
Yeah, we went for a ride. We went to Jackson.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is not this is a legitimate viewer. I've seen this bike. I've ridden with him. I've met him. You know, we broke bread together, and we've been talking actually about this for almost 2 months.
Yeah.
He didn't, to be honest with you, he really didn't want to say anything yet. He really was trying to give the dealership and Honda an opportunity to rectify the problem. He was like, Chris, you know, let's just wait. I don't want to say nothing yet. But I said, Patrick, hey man, we need to let the Goldwing community know what's going on with this boat recall. And the reason why is because there may be some other riders out there that's having the same problem. And if no one is talking, then we're not aware of. So I'm not saying that a rider should not go in and get this boat recall performed. I just want my viewers to know what could actually happen when you take your bike in. So I'm not sure if it was incompetency on the technician side when he was taking the boat out. I'm not sure if this is just something that could happen to any technician that's doing this boat recall. I don't know. But this is a possibility of what could actually happen when you try to get this boat recall performed, apparently. And now let me ask you this question, because we didn't cover this, Pat. How many times have the dealership said they've done a recall on these particular bikes? Did they give you a number, like how many they done before your bike?
Yeah, they told me that they had done 14, and mine was the only one that had a problem.
So out of 14 recalls that they performed, yours was the only model that had this problem to where did the springs actually jump out, or the springs moved, or just came out of place, or you're not sure?
I'm not sure. By the description they gave me a month ago, it sounded like there's a gear, and the gear slipped a little bit, and springs popped out.
Yeah. And now they have actually removed your engine. I personally don't know of any Goldwing owner out there that has had their engine removed. So this sounds like something serious. If Honda is watching this video, I would like to see you guys give Mr. Patrick a new Goldwing. I would like to see either Honda or the dealership replace your Goldwing, because you bought the Goldwing new. You was following the Honda recommendations. Your bike does not even have 8,000 miles on it. You took it in because they said this boat need to be replaced. In the process, something bad happens while they are changing out the boat or trying to remove the boat. And now they had to remove the engine. And they've been working on it 3 days. And apparently, they haven't fixed it yet, because if you've taken the engine out and you're still working on it, this sounds like your bike needs to be replaced. So Honda, if you're watching this video, if the dealership is watching this video, you guys need to do right by Mr. Patrick and replace his Honda Goldwing. That is the right thing to do. And if they do not want to replace your Honda Goldwing, then we're going to let everybody know exactly what they done. So if they get the bike put back together and they saying, hey, your bike is fixed and everything is riding good, you know, that's one thing. But I think in this situation, I think the right thing to do is just to replace your bike. That's what that's what I would like to see happen personally.
Yeah, well, they've had it for almost 2 months.
And they've had it almost 2 months.
You know, I call myself getting ready for riding season. You know.
Yeah. And let me say this. I didn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. I didn't want to say it, but I'm gonna say it. The dealership where he took his bike is the same dealership that did my recall. So I didn't put their name out there in the beginning because I wanted to see what was going to happen with my situation. And to my knowledge, they performed the recall. I haven't had any issues. Everything went off really well to my knowledge, other than that dealership not being able to deal with my thermostat, deal with the leaking on my thermostat from the radiator, because they wanted $1,500 to do that, and I just brought my bike back to the garage and did it myself. But that dealership that did my recall is the same dealership that has Mr. Patrick's bike. So I want that dealership, if you're watching, if Honda is watching, I want you guys to replace Mr. Patrick's bike, or we're going to announce the name of the dealership that had this recall nightmare performed on Mr. Patrick's Goldwing.
Wow.
So Patrick, how are you feeling at this point? What's your thoughts at this point?
I'm just like blown away that this happened. You know, this justice that, you know, there's like no customer contact with the dealership as they're doing things to your bike, and it just gives you an uneasy feeling. You know.
Yeah.
Do I even want to get on that bike again? You know. We do long rides. Me and my wife rode from Tennessee to New Jersey, and you know we plan on riding across the country to California.
Right.
So, you know, that's a lot of miles to ride and not be 100% sure about your bike, and you have to be 100% sure about your bike.
Right.
So, yeah.
And your bike is a 21. 22, 23, 24. So is depending on when you purchase your bike, is your original Honda OEM warranty up, or are you still within your warranty?
They said I was still within my warranty when I called Honda.
Okay, because you know I have the same model. I bought my model in the summer of 2021. So when I had the thermostat leak situation, I didn't discover that until after my warranty was up. My warranty expired about, I guess, 6 months ago or something like that. I have the 2021. So depending on what month you purchase your Goldwing, did you purchase your Goldwing at the end of 2021?
I actually got mine in 22.
Oh, you purchased in 22.
Yeah.
Okay, good. So you purchased it in 2022. It comes with the 3-year unlimited mile warranty. Mm-hmm. So all of this right now, even so, they can't get out of it because it's even within the original warranty period.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. You know, I retired from the Navy and a city in Oceanside. So I retired twice. This was like my gift to myself. You know what I mean?
Right.
And you know, it's yeah.
Pat, let me ask you.
Disappointment.
Let me ask you this question: why did you buy a Honda Goldwing? Any particular reason?
Well, I test rode the Harleys.
Okay.
And you know, the dealer in California, they didn't allow you to test ride the Goldwing.
Right.
But I knew me and my wife we do long rides.
Yeah.
And the Goldwing was super comfortable.
Okay.
And I didn't have to do any add-ons like grip warmers or seat warmers. Oh.
Were you watching my videos before you purchased your Goldwing, or you kind of found my videos after you purchased your Goldwing?
No, I did it before. I was riding a Yamaha FJR.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I started watching your videos and stuff. So I said, okay, it's going to be between Honda and Harley. I never rode a Harley, so I just rode it in.
Okay.
And while I was riding it, I noticed, you know, the seat wasn't comfortable, and it didn't have a lot of add-on stuff that the Goldwing had.
Right.
So right away, knowing I'm going to be riding from San Diego to Lake Tahoe and then Tennessee to New York.
Right.
I needed seat warmers. I needed, the
Right.
warmer and just comfort.
Right.
And even with not being able to test ride it, I bought it because it looked like a better bike.
Okay.
And more for the bang, for your money.
Okay. So you seen my videos before you bought the Goldwing?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Me and my brother-in-law, we followed you for a long time.
Yeah. And a lot of people don't know this. Me and you have actually had been making plans to take some long trips together. This was before this even came up.
Yeah.
This was before this even. Yeah.
I should have listened to you, Chris, because you was like, "Come on, just go to Daytona." I should have listened to you.
Well, I'm not going to say I feel part to blame, but I'm going to say I kind of feel a little bit part to blame because you saw me take my bike in for the recall and you figure, hey, I'll go ahead and do it. Everything went well. Because really what was going on with the Goldwing community at that time, everybody was kind of like, man, who's doing the recall? How's it going? Is it safe? Where should I take it? How long is it taking? So there was a lot of questions and everybody was looking for answers. I was uncertain myself. I took my bike in to get the recall performed. I intentionally didn't mention the name of the dealership because I didn't know what was going to happen. Even on my end, I was concerned about my lights and things like that. And because I know that my bike is heavily out the market accessorized. So I wasn't sure if, how that was going to turn out. And I know I wired my bike up a certain way. And that was actually the first time I was ever going to have that particular, my particular bike into a dealership. Because I normally do my own servicing. So I was a little bit leery even about taking my bike in. But, I went on and bit the bullet. I took my bike in. I didn't announce what dealership I took my bike to. You saw the video. And you said, hey, you called me. I'm not sure if you called me after I did my recall but
it was after.
It was after. Did you? I think you had already scheduled your appointment when we talked.
I watched your video.
Right.
And I said, so I watched your video, so I just told myself, well, Chris got his done. Let me go ahead and get mine done. Right.
But you didn't know where I took mine unless you recognized the video where I took it.
I recognized it, but it was the first one that came up in my Honda dealer guide.
Right. So you took it in, and it's supposed to be a couple of weeks because my bike was only gone maybe a week. So within a couple of weeks, your recall should have been performed, and you called them and they told you, hey, we ran into a problem using our special tool to compress the spring. Something turned and the springs jumped out or something like that, or jumped out of place, or they didn't hold, or something happened. And now they said that in order for them to complete your recall, that they're gonna either have to come from the bottom or off the side or remove the motor. And now we're at the point where your motor has been removed, and you didn't even know they removed it until you just talked to them a few hours ago.
Yeah.
That
about sums it up.
Yeah, I mean, I'm blown away, man. I'm just, I hate to hear about things like this. I kind of hate to hear about things like this. Like I said, I'm not sure if it was just incompetency on the technician side, or if this just was a freak accident, or if this just a risk, that technicians take when they do this boat recall. Could it happen to any technician out there? I don't know. I've even had people to say, Chris, you could probably do your own boat recall, and I probably could have, but I said, this is serious. So I'm going to let the dealership perform this recall, and that way I could, try to rest easy. But now after seeing what happened to you, that has shook my confidence.
Yeah. It's funny too, because my brother-in-law, he has a Goldwing too, and I told him about the recall. He took his bike in. This is back in California, the first week of March, and he got his bike back 2 weeks later.
Okay, so he has went off, no issues.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this question. Let me ask you this question, Pat, before we end this video. What would you say to the viewers that are watching this video that has a new style Honda Goldwing that's considering having the recall performed, or people that are watching this video that may be considering purchasing a Honda Goldwing? So what would you say to them behind your boat recall nightmare? What would you say to my viewers that's considering getting this boat recall performed that hadn't had it performed yet? Is there any advice that you would like to give, or anything you could say to my viewers or to the viewers?
Yeah, sure. I would say do your homework. You know, ask other Goldwing riders, you know, hey, what dealership did you go to?
Mm-hmm.
You know, because like I said, they're not good at communicating. I got a phone call while we were on, and that's the first phone call I've got since February.
Right.
From the dealer.
Right.
You know, so I would say, you know, do your research on the dealership. You know, I know when I bought my bike, they told me to make sure that the dealership that I took it to had a Goldwing certified mechanic.
Okay.
And this dealership said that they did. You know.
Yeah.
But like I said, you know, the communication skills are lacking.
Yeah.
You know. So,
I know a rider that I actually before I took my bike in, I actually called him because he has a lot of experience with this particular dealership, and I called him and I asked him, you know, and he assured me that the technician or the certified Goldwing guy, that you know, he was the best. You know, that's what I was insured. And, you know, I still was a little bit leery, but, you know, that's what I was insured. I took my bike in and I didn't have an issue. But that's a very good point. Do your homework. You know, talk to other riders out there and see where they took their bike. You know, find out if they had a bad experience. And once again, this could, you know, I'm not sure if this could happen to any technician, regardless of how good you are. Or is it incompetency? You know, is the tool worn out? I don't know. I haven't got their side of the story, but you know, this is a nightmare, man. You know, thinking your bike is only gonna be down a couple of weeks, to now we almost 2 months in, and now your engine is out.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to see them replace your bike. I think that is the right thing to do. I think that's the fair thing to do with Honda. If you want to make this situation right, just replace Mr. Patrick's bike. Work with him and find out what he wants and take care of him. You know, the Goldwing community, you know, we rely heavily on our Honda Goldwings. You know, they are a part of our life, and we want to give Mr. Patrick a good experience. We want him to have a good experience, and we want for him to tell his friends and people that he come in contact with, you know, how good the Honda brand really is. So that's something that Honda need to think about. I think they really need to just go ahead and do the right thing and replace your Goldwing.
And that would be extremely great.
Yeah.
Because the confidence in my bike now is like at an all-time low.
Right. And who knows? They may put the bike back together as normal. They may put everything back perfectly. You know, I don't know. Yeah. I mean, at this point, you know, it just shakes your confidence. It makes you you know, doubt the system.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like anything mechanical, man. Once you break the original seal, you know.
Yeah.
It's never going to hold the way it held the first time. So, you know, maybe 6 months from now or 3 months from now, I'm on my way to San Diego or something, and I start feeling vibration or something. Yeah. I don't know, you know.
And I
like this don't feel me.
I'm also thinking about the cost, just the cost, the price of the boat. So let's just say the boat costs a few bucks, and this recall, Honda was paying up to 6 hours to replace the boat, up to 6 hours. So I'm not sure what the hourly rate is. Let's just hypothetically say $100 an hour. I don't know, but the hourly rate, and then Honda had to pay for an oil change. Actually, had to replace the oil when they performed the recall. I think you had to pay for the filters, but they pay for the oil, so they had to drop the oil to do this recall. So the price of the boat, the oil, and the labor, I'm just guessing at a number somewhere probably around $1,000 just to do this boat recall that Honda was paying to have the boat recall, performed. Now, on top of your situation, now you having to remove an engine. Can you imagine the man hours that's going into that, and they still hadn't got your bike fixed?
I just thought of something. You had brought up asking me about my warranty and stuff. This shouldn't be against my warranty.
It should.
This was no fault of mine. I was taking it in for a safety recall.
That's true. But you're 1,000% correct. I brought up that because Honda can't wiggle out of it. And I brought that up because they can't say, no, my bike is under warranty. I took it to an authorized dealer. Clear cut case. Like in my case, when I had the antifreeze leak, the first thing that the Honda Corporation said to me was, "You're out of warranty." That was the first thing they said. What year is your bike? They looked it up, my VIN number. They say you're out of warranty. So you're going to have to rely on your extended warranty, which is not with Honda. It was with a third party. I even had people to say, well, why did you buy a third party warranty? Why didn't you buy a Honda warranty? Well, at that time when I purchased my Honda Goldwing brand new from Southern Honda Power Sports, it was to my understanding that what they told me, if I'm saying it correctly, that I think my GPS screen wouldn't be covered under the extended warranty, or the instrument cluster, the entire dash, or some kind of the audio or something wouldn't be covered under that Honda extended warranty, but it would be covered under the third party warranty. So I purchased that third party warranty from the dealership. I didn't purchase the Honda warranty at that time, and that was because they told me, hey, you can buy because I wanted the Honda warranty, but they said if you buy the Honda warranty, it's not going to cover, I think they said the dash or the instrument cluster or the GPS screen or something, the Apple, whatever it was. It was enough to make me say, no, just give me the other one. So that's one of the reasons why I purchased the third party warranty when I had the antifreeze leak. But come to find out, they said we don't cover hose clamps. And I figured it was a hose clamp because my bike wasn't running hot. Coolant wasn't pouring on the ground. I figured it was either a hole inside of a hose, or a clamp was loose, or maybe a gasket. But I figured it was nothing major. But I was just trying to find out, what they cover, or what would they cover. They said we don't cover hose clamps. So, when I called the Honda Corporation, they advised me, hey, your bike is out of warranty. It was like, we don't have nothing to do with it now because your bike is out of warranty. You got to lean on your third party extended warranty to cover that leak. And then come to find out, they wouldn't even cover the hose clamp. And the dealership wanted $1,500 to remove the wires. That was the problem that I ran into. But I'm just looking at the amount of money that Honda is spending. I don't know if they're rolling that on the dealership and saying, hey, you guys messed up Mr. Patrick's bike, you got to eat that cost. Or if Honda is saying, hey, we'll pay for it. Or if they're saying we'll split it. I don't know. But just the amount of money that is costing to get your bike fixed is a lot. just to
Yeah.
replace a bolt that, to your knowledge, didn't even have a problem.
Yeah.
So I can imagine, you know, just the recall alone was probably under $1,000 or maybe $1,000 to get this recall performed with the boat and the oil change and the labor and everything. And now they had to take your motor, take your engine out.
You know, like me, like I know, Chris, you're on two wheels. You get a recall saying it's something that affects your motor or transmission,
Right.
or any of the moving parts. You're gonna take care of that, man.
Right.
You know, you might be leery about it, but you always worry about your safety first.
Yes.
You know.
Yeah.
So, and that's what drove me to get in.
Yeah.
And watching your video and your bike coming out, no problems. I'm like, well, let me schedule mine up.
And let me highlight this to piggyback on what you just said. What Mr. Pat is saying, or what he didn't say, is when you got to the recall letter. The recall letter said that this bolt needs to be replaced, or it could cause the rear end, if I'm saying it correctly, it could cause the rear end to lock up, basically injuring the rider or causing death or something. It was something to that effect. In other words, you need to get this boat replaced, because if you don't, you can end up, while you're traveling, it can lock your rear wheel up and cause you to crash. So it was not like something minor. It was like, hey, you need to get this done. And so you saw my video, you was trying to do the right thing, and you took your bike in to get this recall performed, and now you're at a point now where they done pulled your engine out because they done ran into a problem. Yeah. So this is bad. This is not good at all.
Yeah.
So Honda, if you're watching this video, if the dealership is watching this video, I want you to do the right thing, and I want you to replace Mr. Patrick's Goldwing. You need to replace his Goldwing. So I'm not sure if they can find you another 2021 just like yours or what, but I think that's the right thing to do at this point, in my personal opinion.
Oh my God!
Boat recall nightmare. Talking about it here in the Caliente garage. I want all of my viewers to chime in on this video. And also, if there's anybody out there, if you had the same problem or if you ran into that same situation, I want you to put it down in the comment section below and let us know how you had the problem rectified. Did they take your engine out to put everything back? How did it go once they put everything back? Did Honda replace your bike? So be sure to chime in. I want all you guys to chime in on this video. And also let me know that out there watching this video, are you afraid now to purchase a Goldwing? Or are you apprehensive to take your existing Goldwing in to get the boat recall performed? I also want to hear from you guys as well. To my knowledge, I haven't had no problems since I had my boat recall performed. Mr. Pat is the first Goldwing rider that I've heard or talked to that has ran into this problem. So I want you guys to chime in on this video. Drop it down in the comment section below. If you like this video, I want you to click the like button. Also, I want you to share the video with the Goldwing community. It really helps the channel out. If you guys would like to support the Caliente YouTube channel, I want you to take the opportunity to click the thanks button. All of your donations really helps the channel grow. And if you would like to share your Honda Goldwing or your motorcycle experience with the audience, I'm going to leave my contact information in the description of the video. You can call me direct at 901-468-9032, or you can email me at chriscaliente@yahoo.com. Thank you.